Okay, going to show you now how I connect this snake. This is the input end, as in the end that goes into the mixer. I guess you call it the output of the snake. And the input of the snake is over here, which is all of these receptacles where we plug in this case, the stuff for the drums. So fortunately with the drums, most of the stuff maps. So channel 3 kick on the snake goes to channel 3 kick over here, and same for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So those guys from 3 through 8, they just map. I mean, you know, whatever numbers on the cable is what I plug in there. But 1 and 2 are a bit different, because channel 1 and channel 2, I'm using these for vocals, right? Because these two channels on the mixer don't have what we call a pad. And a pad is a button you can push to bring down the volume of the signal so it doesn't clip. And when you're miking drums, you typically want the pad on because they're crazy loud in those mics. And so we want to bring the signal down before it hits the mixer gain stage. But you don't have that on channels 1 and 2 in this mixer because they have a thing called high Z. I'll show you on the front. So you can see on this mixer, you've got pad buttons on all of these channels, but you don't have it on the first two. You have high Z. And that's because on the first two, if you want, you can plug in what's called a high impedance input, like if you've got a piezo mic for a ukulele, which is something we do for Jolene's band sometimes, another Jolene Lozano, that's this.is.jolene on Insta. You should totally check her out, she's awesome. She plays a ukulele sometimes in her set, and for that we use the high Z. So I'm keeping those two channels available for that stuff, which means I put the drums here. But then, you know, it creates a bit of a dilemma for me because I'd like to have everything mapped 1 to 1, but it's not going to work because 1 and 2 here, they're not going to be able to plug into 1 and 2 on the rack. So I take them somewhere else. And typically what that means is that we'll use channel 13, which is for Lost Ethos. We use that for vocals. 13, 14, 15, we use those guys for backing vocals, and we use channel 2 as well. So what I've actually been doing recently is putting one of the vocal backings on channel 2 here, because you don't need the pad on for the backing vocals, and then using 13 for the bottom snare with the pad on. So you can see how complicated it gets. And as a result, you know, my rack is a little bit confusing, and part of the upgrade we're going to do is to remap all these channels into something a bit more logical, along with another component that will let me do something special at live shows. And I'll tell you all about that in a future clip. Keep coming.